the Best Man Pod, where Joe and Dave are going to talk about things we got into trouble as kids. What's going on, Dave? How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I think this one's funny. I saw somebody else do something similar to this, and like I instantly had that flashback to your parents screaming, "Dave Lee Bradley Nestor!" up the stairs in the meeting, looking at each other like, "Fuck, what did we just do?"
Yeah, yeah. The David Bradley Nestor thing was definitely how I knew I was in trouble.
Well, we hit on it on the last one recently, where you're the only friend growing up where I know your middle name. And, like, I could probably guess on a few other friends, but you're the only one I knew because your parents would, like, hit every single syllable.
Yeah, it was cool, but I mean, it got my attention, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
it worked. If you want to look at it that way. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you want me to go first, I can. There's so many things that I got in trouble for as a kid, but I guess a lot of that has to do with having strict rules in a conservative Christian home, like I did when I was growing up. So that changes the dynamic quite a bit because things that um, normal families wouldn't think are bad, ours did. So it kind of led to a lot of getting in trouble when really in reality I wasn't getting in trouble. I was just doing normal things that kids do, in my
Mhm.
opinion, for a lot of the shit. But definitely was a couple situations that were the like most funny though. Um,
So I got 3 on here. I put 3 on mine. Like,
oh
3, like,
wow, okay.
specific instances that I remember, like, this happened. And so, like, if that
Well then you go first.
okay. So, 5th grade, we're on a basketball team, and it was the first, like, school-sanctioned basketball team, right?
Hmm.
And so I don't remember our coach's name. He was short, fat man. If I saw him in real life, I'd probably smack him around a little bit. But um,
He was rough.
the 6th grade coach was Jonathan Cunningham,
Oh okay.
and so my parents had scheduled a family dinner with like a cousin of ours, and we had a basketball game get canceled and rescheduled on that night. And my family was like, "Hey, like we've had this scheduled, like we've had to like move it around a few times, like we're going to this dinner." I'm like, "My coaches told me if I miss a game or practice, there's consequences." They're like, "You're in the 5th grade, you're fine." So we it, this is probably about halfway through the season. So like we kind of like a pretty like set in stone like of like positions and everything. Like I think like I had started majority of the games, handful of games I didn't, but like I played a lot, right? So missed the basketball game. Show up to the next practice, and the short little fat man and Jonathan had came up with a punishment for me for missing the game, and they basically were like, "You're gonna do suicides for the entirety of our practice." And so while everybody's practicing for the hour and a half, 2 hours of practice, I was doing suicides, and I would get a water break here and there, but like whenever the team was practicing, I was doing suicides, right? For 2 hours in the 5th grade.
It was rough.
So I get home or I get in the car. My mom's like, "So how's practice?" I was like, "It was terrible." Like, tell her what happened. She was like, "You need to get home and tell your dad." So, like, and I distinctly remember this. So TJ had just graduated college or high school. So he was like a freshman in college. Jeremy was a senior at Cedarville. And my dad was in the back and they're playing a PlayStation and they're playing Jeopardy on PlayStation.
That's awesome.
And I walked back into that back room and like I had this idea of like I would say it jokingly like I have a bone to pick with you. And I walked in that back room, I was like, I have a bone to pick with you. And dad turned around and just snapped like into I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know why you're coming back here like just goes off on me. And
Yikes.
like mom like, "All right, let's go back in the back room into their bedroom." We all go into their bedroom and like he just snaps, like losing it at me, right? And I mean like in hindsight, like if one of my boys came at me like that, I would probably do the exact same thing. But so we get through this whole like tongue lashing that I'm getting because I came back in the house and told him I have a bone to pick with him because I had to do suicides the entire practice because of him. But uh explained to him what happened finally, and he was like, "Fine, leave the room." And I leave the room, and like my bedroom was across the room from theirs, and he calls this coach, and he berades him as the little short fat man he was, and like called him every name under the book, called him the little short fat man. Was like, "This is fifth grade basketball. This is like like went off on him." And, like, from then on, like, any game I went to, like, this coach, like, went out of his way to, like, go up to my dad and, like, shake his hand and, like,
Of course.
apologize and, like, just
Hmm.
tail between the legs man of that he
I totally
was.
remember that guy. I don't think he's around anymore.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure. My parents told me. I think he passed away.
I couldn't even remember his name if I had to.
I couldn't mark something.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds right. But, like,
yeah.
what's funny is I remember the plays that we ran. I could still run every position of that play that we ran back then.
The zone defense or whatever.
No, the offensive play where like two people were standing on the corner of the foul line, one person was on the block, another person on the 3-point line, point guard was on the up top, and
Hmm.
like one person would run around for a pick, the bottom would run around, and like then you end up on the other side exactly how you were, so then you can flip and do it again.
Did you ever get a vibe from him that he shouldn't be coaching young boys
Yeah,
basketball? Okay,
100%.
cool. Making
Yeah,
sure it wasn't just me because I was terrified. Him like showing us how to do all these plays and like rubbing up on us and stuff never made me comfortable.
yeah.
Gross.
I never had a coach that made me uncomfortable except
He was
Matt.
close. He was
Like
close.
he was on the list of like
Yeah.
weird.
Didn't
Weird
help that
guy.
he was like almost always sweaty.
Full flop sweat.
You remember?
Yeah.
I remember.
All right. So what's next on yours? What do you got?
Um, Man, for childhood, there's so many good ones. So I'm trying to think of one that like I specifically remember. Um, I know. Okay, here's a good one. So do you remember Awana?
Mhm.
We used to have this thing when we were kids that was on Wednesday nights. It was for church kids. It was called Awana. I forget what it stand for, but you basically did Bible verse memorization like for a while, and if you memorized something and set it back to your adult person that was taking like control of the I don't know what they were called, counselors maybe.
You got, like, a book that you had to work you could work your way through or not work
Right,
your
but
way through and, like,
the faster you got through stuff, the faster you got to recess. It was totally incentivized. Like
I
I don't
remember there
remember
being,
any of
like,
that stuff long
badges and
term.
pens, and
Yeah, some of those were cool, but um,
I
they would let
remember
you go
just
do like
not getting very far in anything.
no, but they would always have game time, right?
Okay.
That was the only fun part about Awana. So I remember after Awana at the university because they had it in the gym there sometimes. Um, there were a couple local kids that came, and I remember playing tag when we were younger. I tripped a kid when we were playing tag. I remember that, and his brother saw me do it, and he was bigger and faster than me. So my parents were pulling up as I tripped the kid, and then this kid chased me around for a minute. Couldn't catch me until I got like right to my parents' car. Punched me in the stomach, and then I like fell back into the van, and I slammed the door really quickly because my sister wasn't there this time. My parents were like, "What was that? What's going on?" And I was like, "Drive away." And I remember saying, "That guy's such a pervert," but I thought it was a cuss word because every word I wasn't allowed to say because of my parents' rules was a cuss word. So I remember calling him a pervert, thinking that was like, "Oh, he's such a dick," or "What an asshole," or
Yeah.
whatever, right? I thought it was equivalent to all of those things. I had no idea what it meant. My parents were like, "Don't call him that." They were like, "Be nice to him, be kind, whatever." They're like,
Yeah.
"Shouldn't have tripped his brother." Lesson learned. But
Do you
yeah, I
remember who
called
they
him a
were?
pervert. Yeah, I think, but I don't think they stayed at our school. I think they went to Xenia.
Okay. So, like, another one, we lived in Arkansas, so, like, we were kinda poor growing up, like, not I don't know, like, we ate, we had food, we had clothes, like, I don't know the definition of poor, we didn't have a ton of money.
Lower middle class.
Yeah. So, like, we're living in Arkansas and, we had a like, it was our I think our so we first moved down there, our first house that we moved down there in, everybody had their own bedroom, and but the house, the yard around the house was infested with copperhead snakes. So we only lived there for like a hot second until my parents could find something somewhere else out of there, right? Because like
Wow.
you can't live there, right? So moved to this other house and it was just a real tiny house. So it was a 3 bedroom house for the 6 of us. And so like originally it was me and my sister in one room, my 2 older brothers in another room. And so we're sharing, everybody's sharing rooms at the small house. We're like, I'm the youngest. I'm getting hand me down shoes, hand me down clothes, hand me down everything. And so you start to build up this pent up aggression towards when anybody gets anything new and then you get a new hand me down something, you know? And so like I'm in like first or second grade, and my sister kept getting these American Girl dolls. And like these are like hundreds of dollars, American Girl dolls. And like not that like I felt like I needed anything, but it's like, why is she getting all this shit? Like I'm just getting pissed. And so then something happens, and she makes up a lie and tells my mom that me and my friend were doing something. And so I get kicked out of their room, kicked out of that room. So now sleeping, like 3 boys are in one room, right? My sister gets room to herself. So me, my oldest brother is 9 years older than me, and my other brother is 8 years older than me. And so like you're literally having a first grade, second grader in with freshman in high school, eighth grader, right? It's like
Right.
shit doesn't work, right? Not at all.
Right.
So I'm complaining about it one day, and I'm like, the only time I was allowed to go into the bedroom was to go to bed because my brothers wouldn't allow me in there any other time. So I'm in there laying down for bed, and like I'm complaining about it, and like they're like, "So what are you gonna do about it?" Like, she has her own room, she has all these dolls, she's getting all this new stuff. What are you gonna do about it? So they're kind of juicing me up a little bit, right? And I was like, I don't know, like there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just like they're like, I guess you could get her back somehow. She loves those dolls. I'm like, you know what? Yes. Fuck those dolls.
Fuck those
And
dolls.
so I get a permanent marker and go to all of those American Girl dolls and color all over their faces. And like she had like 8 of them. Permanent marker all over the faces.
So
So
mean.
this is the funny part. I distinctly remember my dad like pull me to I got to go to I got to go to spanked. I'm in the room. I'm bent over his knee and I'm bent over the bed, and he was like, "Listen." And like we had the rule of getting spanked in our house was you get 3. You scream, you move, you cry, you get 3 more. So you had to just sit there and take it, bite your lip. So normally you just lay down and you're like, "All right, I'm going to get 9. After 9, my butt will be numb. I'll be fine after 9." And so like I lean over the bed and I'm like, "All right." That was like, I understand why you did that. I have to do this. I got 3 and that was it. He just walked out. And like it was one of those moments where like I go across the room back into my room, my brothers are in there, they're like, "Only 3?" I was like, "Yeah, only 3." They're like, "He knows." And like it was one of those moments where everyone in the house instantly knew like, "Okay, we know what's going on here." Like somebody's getting all these dolls, everybody's pent up, has some pent up aggression about it. The
Hmm.
young one finally did something about it, and we're just gonna kinda slight slap on the hand, and we're gonna keep it moving.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Actually, when I used to get spanked when I was a kid, there were a couple times where my brothers thought my parents were torturing me, but I was just flailing around on the ground, pitching a fit before getting spanked, trying to like coax them not to, like begging them not to spank me. I was
Ours
such
was a hard
a
line
bad
of
kid.
don't scream, don't cry, don't move. And so you bite your lip and, like, try to see how many the least amount as possible because 'cause you're coming in threes. Like, no matter
Right,
what, they're coming in threes. So, like,
right,
if you know you're getting 3, the goal is to not get 6. And,
right.
because by the end of 3, if you're able to, like, take it by then, like and I mean, that I feel like so much of my adulthood has been based around that now, like, just just deal with the suck, and when you get used to it, then we'll deal with it after that. Like,
Did you ever try patting it? Because I did.
I did one time, and
with extra clothes.
It didn't go well.
I did it with books when I was young because I was an idiot. But then I did it with extra clothes. I could tell.
Do you remember the moment where it stopped hurting?
Like during a spanking?
Yeah.
I don't think they honestly got that far.
I specifically remember a moment where my mom was spanking me and was like, it was like the first one hit, the second one hit, and it was like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Oh, you mean like when you started to get older?
Like when I was getting, like, I don't, I mean, I was probably still in early elementary school, but like I remember that exact moment of like, I can take this now. Like
Hmm.
I remember that moment.
Wow, that's cool. Um, so I don't know if I have any other really good ones. I mean, I do remember. I'll do a quick one. I do remember my sister and I used to get in like fist fights over. We had shared. Um, we were allowed to use a CD player in the living room, but we didn't have our own CD players because we also didn't have a lot of money growing up.
Yeah.
So when we were younger, we would get CDs, but we had to use the family CD player. So we had to do our homework on the dining room table, and because I don't think we had our own desks back then. Um, so we would fight over who would listen to what on the CD player. There were like she was pretty mean, but I was mean back. You know what I mean? But she's not innocent. I don't want anyone to think that. We're both guilty. That's the point. In any case, I remember this one specific fight. I wanted to listen to DC Talk or something, right? Cool, hip Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to listen to like Amy Grant or something slow, and I wasn't into it. So at the time, so I remember she started playing her music, and my mom wasn't in the room. I think she had left or whatever. I think we were by ourselves there for a minute. I don't know if they had gone to watch TV or what, but they weren't close, so they didn't hear us arguing. I remember she started playing her music, and we were supposed to switch back and forth. I took her CD out in the middle of a song and put mine in and played it. Right, sat down. So then she got up and did the same, right? And then there were a couple times where I was doing it where she came over and started like scratch my arm and like be mean to me and like try to make me stop. So when that got intense, after a few times of doing this, I grabbed her CD and ran outside and I chucked it down our driveway. So you know how far CDs can go, right?
You could fucking launch them.
Yeah, we had a long driveway. So I did that, and then she screamed because CDs could scratch or whatever and ran down the driveway to get it. And I locked her out. So when she came back, I was playing DC Talk, having a good time. And my mom came out. She's like, "Where's Renee?" She was outside. She was bawling her eyes out. And this is one of many instances where her and I would be like fighting each other, like punching each other.
Mhm.
We used to. She would pull hair and scratch. I would punch. She would bite me and stuff. Dude, it was rough. I would always elbow her. Yeah,
So
we
I'm
were
gonna
mean to each
save
other.
this last one for another day. I'm gonna piggyback on yours just because the brother sister thing. So my sister's 5 years older than me.
Hmm.
Renee's like what, 3 years older than you?
Not even like just not even two.
Okay.
Like 18 months, 16 to 18 months, something like that.
Okay. So
A lot closer.
like me and my sisters would get these like knockout, drag out fights. Like I remember like we were fighting over something and like she had pushed me down and I had fallen down and the vacuum cleaner was like next to me. And you know how like the old vacuum cleaners had like the plastic tubes next to them, like attached
Hmm.
to them.
Yep.
I ripped off that plastic tube and it was like, like 2 feet, like a 18 inches long, 2 feet long, and I just wailed on her on the side of the
Oh
leg
my
and just
god.
left this giant welt. Like one time she was being mean or messing with me and like I was just tired of it. So she went to like the bathroom and like our downstairs uh and when she went to that bathroom I had to push the couch up against it and locked her in there for the rest of the day.
Oh my
And I went
god.
about my day. I never went back and got her. Like she was in there for a while. I can't tell you how long. Maybe she could now, but like she was in there for like a minute.
That's rough, man.
And
But
like we would get battles. Like, yeah. So I feel the brother sister battle there.
nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good one for a start for what we got in trouble for or things we got in trouble doing as a kid. I
Yeah.
think it's a good segment.
I would love for like if we have any friends watching this to remind us of some things that we got in trouble for as kids. I mean, we have like I'd be curious to hear what like if we get Colin to watch this. Like I'm sure we
Yeah.
got into some stuff with him, Jason. I'm
Zach
sure we got
Jones
stuff with
might know
him.
some.
Zach Jones, yeah, that could be one.
Yeah.
There's
I
some
don't
funny
know if
ones. I got some ones
yeah.
like that we can touch back on like high school days.
Yeah,
Like,
the Muncies. Like I still am in touch with Adam. He's
yeah,
got that hair company and stuff. So like could ask him or Peter.
yeah, sounds good,
Yeah.
man. All right, man.
Cool.
I'll see you later,
All
dude.
right. Later.